guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. That's from a guy, I believe he's 43, 44 years old. He's from over in Europe. And he shares his story how he's able to have the last laugh after things ended with his girlfriend from 15 years earlier. You're going to see this girlfriend of his, she was like his college sweetheart. They were together for 3 years when a series of events occurred had him, I want to point out him, ending the relationship. And you're going to see, like I said, this guy definitely has the last laugh on multiple fronts. Now, what are those last laughs? Well, you're going to have to wait and find out. But I'll give you a clue. One of them involves they always come back. And that'll be a pretty good one to go over here, guys. For those of you who have had relationships who have gone south, whether because a girl cheated on you or broke up with you, monkey branch, who knows what it is. For those of you guys that have moved on and doing well for yourself, the odds are she's probably not doing well for herself. And one day you may hear from her. And let me tell you, it's going to be very satisfying, as it was for many guys, when they come crawling back, thinking that they could do better, thinking that they had it made, because Father Time usually isn't too friendly to those types. So kick back. This is definitely a good one. Starts off, says here, hello SSM. I've been following your channel for quite some time. I've listened to the stories that are told on both your channels, and I have learned a lot. I confess I've also laughed at some of the stories, so I decided to write my own and send it your way. Maybe you'll find it valuable and want to share it. If not, it might make you smile a little bit. Here goes. Sorry if there are any mistakes. Bro, we all make mistakes. I was born in 1980 in a small European country into a family of amateur musicians, but all very active and proficient, along with a family career in restaurants. My parents owned a small restaurant in the city that I was born. We were not rich, but we lived well and without any great difficulties. It was no surprise that from a young age I showed an aptitude and wanted to study music and started playing from an early age. Cool, bro. I'm a guitarist, and from an early age I was a kind of local guitar hero. Rock and grunge bands with the typical 90s clothes, long hair to match. I hated the freaking 90s grunge look. In my high school, you had the grunge kids, copying off Nirvana with their baggy-ass jeans, and they're doing their hacky sacking and all that crap. I'm sure some of you guys are about my age remember that. But anyhow, but you can play guitar, so you can get away with it. I was never a bad boy, or Chad, as you call them, nor did I want to be. But from an early age, I always had girlfriends, and beautiful ones. I must say, I was also a good-looking kid, so it wasn't surprising. Well, I'm glad you're so humble, my friend. I'm joking. During my adolescence, I discovered that I could earn extra money not only by playing, but also by teaching. And I also discovered that I was really a good teacher. Organized, patient, and very empathetic with younger children. I never had any major addictions, and I never got involved in alcohol or drugs, so I only spent money on guitars, pedals, and amplifiers. A precious collection I still have at the age of 44, and with great pride. That's great, man. Really. Don't need to get into drugs and alcohol. I mean, you can have an occasional beer, and you were a teenager, you're going to go to a party, but there's having a beer with your bros and getting trashed and being stupid. When the time came to continue my studies at university, I decided to opt for a course that would qualify me to teach in a more capable and well-paid way. And so it was. I was always a good student, and I always achieved good academic results, while my many numbers of students increased considerably, along with my career. While my number of students, so he was still teaching, increased considerably, along with my musical career with national exposure in important bands and well-known artists. Video clips, TV, and radio programs were all already an important part of my life and well paid. Well, bro, who are you? If you don't want to tell the audience, send me an email. Let me know who you are so I can check it out. I'm curious. Because obviously he sent this from an anonymous email and that type of thing, guys. I had saved up a good amount of money, and as you probably know, most European universities are free. Well, it's not free. Somebody pays for it. I was able to cover the remaining expenses and still keep a very significant part of my earnings in the bank. At university, I met M. Tall, drop-dead gorgeous, dark-haired, and a prototype of a woman. I wasn't in love at first, but it was close. I asked her out a few times, and about a week later, we felt like we were dating. and from there it blossomed into a relationship that I thought was strong and solid. Notice he said that he thought that. We were together a lot of the time because we studied at the same university and lived close to each other, and we even shared an apartment in the last year of our 3-year relationship. So, about 2 years into it, you asked her, somehow you moved in. You didn't say whose idea it was, but it was probably your idea. Way too soon, my man, but this was 20-some years ago. At least you waited 2 years to move in with her. And I bet you're thinking, I'm going to get all the pussy I ever wanted by moving in with her. And then you start to see who the real M is when you move in with her. Since I had much more financial freedom, I found myself in a position to pay for some of the things she needed during her university studies. Smack! Not your job to pay for her, dude. Should have smacked you for moving with her 2 years into it, so my apologies. Some expensive things even. I bought a new laptop for her, and since she was a music student like me, although in a different class, I gave her a digital piano so she could study at home whenever she wanted and could. A significant investment, but it didn't cost me anything to make. I really liked her and wanted it to thrive at all costs. Smack! A laptop, a piano. That's money you could have had for yourself. I get you thought you had a good thing going. I'm sure you imagined a big, bright, beautiful future with it and everything, but that's too much. And you just said here, I wanted it to thrive at all costs. Now, did she want your relationship to thrive at all costs? That's the question. Probably not. Probably you were way more into her than she was into you at the time. But I also know, and before you guys want to run away and go watch another video because you think this guy's a simp, this guy has integrity, and you'll see. So we had our ups and downs, but I remember that the first big argument was about an investment that I decided to make. Your first big argument was about your money and what you chose to do with it? Really? That tells me in her mind, she had power over you, that she could tell you what to do with your money and how to invest it. Nope. I bought an old house in my hometown so I could restore it and one day live there. Cool, dude. She really wanted me to use the money that I was going to spend on that old house to buy an apartment where we could live as soon as we got married. And he says in parentheses, I wasn't even thinking about marriage, nor did I know where I was going in my life. I just knew that my hometown was my home, and as such as it made sense. Rebuild it, and eventually rent it out if I didn't live there, and to have another source of income. Well, that makes sense. Financial sense. And where's this when you get married conversation? I'm sure in the back of your mind, you're probably picturing marrying her, but you didn't have a conversation with her about it. And I'm sure she figured, oh, this guy's in love with me. He wants to marry me anyway. But what you do with your money is your own fucking business. And it's not like you're going to piss away on bullshit. You're going to restore an old house and make it something amazing. That argument happened before a period when I went on tour with one of the artists I worked with at the time. And for those who are wondering why it ended, here's a brief explanation. I went on tour in Europe for 4 months. I knew that I would most likely miss a school year, but I thought it was a safe professional investment and that it paid well. I only came home for a few days at a time. When the tour ended and I returned to the city where I was studying, I went home a day earlier than planned. Well, we can see where this is going. Whenever a guy comes home early from a trip, that's usually when, So I called Em trying to find out where she was, and when she answered, I heard the sound of the sea. I didn't find it strange. She grew up in a coastal city where her parents still lived, and so she had gone for a visit. Nothing special. And when I said that I had already returned, she said that she would only be back the next day. I told her that it was no problem. I would take my car so that I could spend some time with her after being away for 3 to 4 weeks. She denied this possibility with excuses that sounded absurd to me. I didn't insist. Okay. You've barely seen her for 3 to 4 weeks. When you're that young, that feels like an eternity. Let's be honest here. We've all been young before. And all of a sudden, she's making all these excuses for you not to come see her. If she was deeply in love with you, she'd be doing anything to come see you. And I'm certainly enthusiastic to have you come see her. What a load of crap. Anyway, I went out. I looked for a group of music friends at a regular jam session in the city at a local pub where I was well known for playing there a lot, even though I was already used to much bigger gigs. I never stopped playing with friends and colleagues whenever I could. It was the advent of social media. The most popular thing at the time was HI5, and someone shared photos of me on stage playing. And in that photo, a girl, by the way, very good looking, next to the stage looking at me. If I tell you that I don't know who she was or that I never spoke to her, would you believe me? But it's gone down in history. That same night, hours later, Emma showed up at my house, furious. She didn't even ask how I was or how the trip was. She shouted as much as she wanted, for as long as she wanted. I listened patiently, and I remember that all that insecurity added to the previous excuse meant much more than she wanted me to know. So you're playing and some hot chick's checking you out. Maybe she saw some pictures of that or something like that. Dude, you're in a band. You could be butt ugly, and girls are still going to like you. Women love musicians. I don't have to tell you that, you know. Look at some of these rockers. They're butt ugly dudes or butt ugly rappers. Doesn't matter. And it ain't just about the money, guys. It's about the fame, being on stage, all that type of thing. I could do a whole video on that shit. And how she's throwing a hissy fit yelling at you, I wouldn't tolerate that. I'd walk. I'd say, get out of here. Go home. Well, okay, you live together, but go for a walk. When you calm down and we can have a conversation like adults, or at least you can have a conversation like an adult, then we'll talk. Otherwise, take a hike. When she seemed calmer, I said, I'm not going to apologize for something that didn't happen. And I can guarantee that if you talk like that again, our relationship will end immediately. I will not tolerate it. I've never been rude to you, and I don't deserve it. I finished the bowl of cereal I was eating and went to bed. Em followed me in silence and tried to touch me, but something told me it was better not to let anything happen. Good for you, man. You should have told her to walk when she was yelling at you because you didn't do anything wrong. But you did the next best thing, just let her make an ass out of herself, and you pretty much say, hey, pull this shit again, we're done. And that's great, because even though obviously you really wanted to be with her and loved her, you loved yourself more and had self-respect. So good for you. That is rare for guys to do that are deeply in love with their girl. Or maybe you weren't as deeply in love with her as you thought you were. I don't know, but you handled it right. So the next day, a Monday, a school day, despite being tired from traveling, I showed up with the class as expected. One of my classmates, seeing me a little more prostrate and with little energy, thought I was down, and during the first break, he approached me and said, cheer up, friend, women come and go. A guy like you can find another woman right away without delay. You're probably like, what? The hell are you talking about, bro? I looked up a little confused and didn't speak. I had questions to ask, but I held them back as best I could. I smiled and simply said, I'm calm. Since the conversation with Em the night before wasn't enough to make anyone think about it, and I couldn't imagine her telling what had happened as enough to end the relationship, I simply asked, how do you know? He simply replied that he had been at the beach over the weekend and seen Em from afar holding hands with another guy and kissing. Nothing too physical, but given the intimacy, we could only have ended the relationship. And I agreed and said yes. And I thanked him, drank my coffee, and went back to the classroom with him. Well, you're amazingly calm in this whole situation. So, remember earlier, guys, 5 minutes ago, he said he heard her on the phone. It sounds like the ocean. Well, she was there with another dude. Now we know why she didn't want him to come see her. Or she wasn't leaving to come see him. And then she threw a hissy fit and giving him shit like he's a cheater. Well, cheaters think everybody's a cheater. So I went home. The apartment was a small one-bedroom studio, so we didn't have much space to sleep separately, and the sofa was small and uncomfortable. I started packing my bags and grabbing some of my instruments and loading them into my car. Not knowing where I was going yet, it was a strong possibility that I would go back to my parents' house, about 300 kilometers away. I thought about skipping classes for the rest of the week and getting my head together. In the meantime, one of my friends came to find out about me, as we hadn't seen each other for a few weeks. He saw that I was cleaning up and I told him what was happening. He convinced me to stay at his place. Well, aren't you in the middle of a semester or something? So if you go stay with your parents, that kind of screws up your school. So if you can stay at your buddies to finish out the semester or whatever, that's ideal. His place was a big apartment with 5 bedrooms and a huge sofa. We were all very close. 3 of us were musicians too, and I agreed. Maybe it would be good to be friends to cheer me up. In the meantime, Em arrived and realized that I was leaving. Fireworks. She asked me why. In the threat from the previous day, was it really a threat, or if I had already decided to break up? I simply told her that I found out that there was another man in her life and that she had been seen holding hands with another man. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't show any emotion, nothing. I just said that I couldn't stand being just another one, as I wouldn't do anything like that to her, and I never done that to anyone. See, notice he didn't raise his voice or get emotional or freak out or throw shit or whatever. He didn't throw a tantrum or cry. He didn't give her the drama that you know damn well she craved. She cried, shocker, holding on to me saying it was a lie, that no one had seen her because it hadn't happened, and that it was all a big conspiracy to keep us apart. Really? A conspiracy? That's the word she chose? And I confess I almost had a moment of weakness, but something was not right, and I stood my ground. Good for you, man. I'm sure that wasn't easy, you know? I'm sure there was a party that wanted to hope that that dude was wrong. You know, that was some other chick that looked like her. But I left, and we only saw each other from a distance. She tried to approach me a few times when we were alone, but I always asked her not to. I confessed that it hurt me a lot, and I was very afraid to talk because I was afraid of welcoming her again, knowing that it wasn't the best thing to do. Well, that's smart, man. You avoided her because you knew darn well that you, even though you were strong enough to say, that's it, we're done, you had enough self-respect to do that, it wasn't easy. And you know what? A lot of guys couldn't do that. So I applaud you. And you knew darn well you needed time away from her because, you know, it's an emotional roller coaster. You might take her back. 2 months after the incident, one of the girls in one of my friend's circles invited me for coffee. He says, yes, she invited me for a coffee. Hey, obviously this chick likes you. Her name's S. She was a very pretty woman, but short, and I've always preferred tall women. But that time, and because her smile was charming, and we'd known each other for years, but we never got close like that. We talked alone, and I accepted. We went for coffee, chatted a bit, and I could tell right away that she was very interested in me. Well, if a girl asks you out and invites you for a drink, coffee, tea, beer, or whatever, obviously she likes you. That's a good position to be in because you don't have to do a whole lot. It's easy. There was something to her eyes that told me it was really a healthy attraction. And she was, as always, an easygoing, intelligent, beautiful person with an enchanted feminine charm. That's great and all, but let's not get carried away, brother. My phone rang. It was late afternoon, and my dad called to say that they, my mom and dad, were in town and wanted to know if I wanted to have dinner with them at some restaurant. Right in the middle of your coffee date? How dare you, Dad? Since I was accompanied, it wasn't a good idea. I didn't want to deny my parents, whom I love, company, and I didn't want to seem like I was turning down S, who invited me out. At that moment, on the phone, and I looked at her, and I said to my dad, okay, Dad, but I have company. Can we both go? S's eyes showed panic and joy. A mix that was hilarious, but I did it with confidence. She was a friend. She didn't have to be more. Well, if I'm dating a chick, if I'm on a first fucking date with a chick, whether I actually am acquainted with her or not, I'm not going to bring her along to see my parents. I mean, I wouldn't do that, but worked out for you. I would have been like, hey, we'll finish your coffee. We'll catch up later. I'm going to go out with my mom and dad. Yeah, but you wanted to get some ass. She still said it was a bad idea, but I didn't think so. I insisted, and she decided to go. Oh my. It was the night of July 3rd, 2005, and my now wife met her in-laws for the first time, and it was love at first sight for them without them knowing it yet. So this became your future wife. Okay, this worked out well for you. Very interesting how things ended with your ex, M. You found out about her obviously cheating on you, and it hurt. You had the integrity to get rid of her, and then when you healed, then this chick comes into your life. It's kind of cool, not to mention a little weird how things like that tend to happen sometimes, you know? Who knows? The divine plan. I don't fucking know. My mother loved the young woman with her easy conversation and sweet eyes, and my father looked at me with a satisfied smile. I got married in 2012 and became a father in 2017. Life is wonderful. The only difference is I'm bald now. Well, bro, I'll be joining the bald club pretty soon because it's thinning up here and quick. Maybe it's the Florida sun that's like burning my fucking hair off at the top. You guys can't see it because camera angles here, but yeah, it's going. But it is what it is. I made it to my 40s. I'm content. So, notice he said his first date with her was July 3rd, 2005, but then he got married to 2012. 7 years. Very good. There was no rush, and I like that. And another 5 years until he eventually had a kid. I like that even more. You had time together. And if you think the story ends here, you're wrong. As you rightly say, they always come back. Gee, who could he be talking about? In my professional career, in addition to music on stage, I dedicated myself to a successful academic career and taught at several prestigious private schools. About 6 years ago, I came across a familiar face. 6 years ago, huh? Okay, so we're talking 2018, and you were probably 38. M's sister, who was a teacher at the same school, I remember her smile very well when I entered the workplace for the first time. She already knew because she had recognized my name on the documents that were common. My name was very familiar to her. I always was fond of her. We hugged and talked a little bit about everything, and I asked her how her sister was doing. M. And she replied that M lived in another city and was going through a difficult time with her, wait for it, third divorce. So M, at the time of this, when you ran into the sister, was about your age, 37, 38 years old. 37, 38 years old in the third divorce? Yeah. And asking how you're doing and having a difficult time. I'm willing to bet you that difficult time is because of difficulties she brought on herself. 3 divorces by 37, 38 years old. Meanwhile, you're having a great life. She had spoken to her sister several times about how it was very difficult for her to see her ex on TV, which didn't even happen as much at this point in my life. But that little by little, she had managed to get over it. But with each failed marriage, she would spend days talking about me again, which was natural for her. Hey, this should be music to your ears. She fucked up that relationship by cheating on you, and now you're doing great, and after every shitty marriage, she's longing for the past. She knew the other man that she had been seen with on the beach so many years before. The son of a rich businessman, and maybe that was attractive to her, but in reality, it hadn't been anything too serious because he also had a girlfriend, and it came to nothing. Shocker, the guy she ruined your relationship for, nothing came of it. Just a few days later, at the end of the day of classes, I met M in the school parking lot. Oh, what a surprise. You ran into the sister after all these years, and, oh, well, here comes M. She managed to get in because she was the sister of one of the teachers and using the excuse that she needed a ride. A ride, huh? She wanted a ride from you. She asked to wait in the car, and the doorman let her in. There's no denying the familiarity. They really do look alike. So at the end of the day, I got to the car and found M there. Not knowing which one was mine, she waited to see me. She called me over. I looked, and there she was, like a ghost from the past. I wanted to say that she was fat and deformed and ugly as a dried-out octopus, but no. 40 years old and still in good shape. With wrinkles, like we all do at this age, but she was still the same old M. So there you go. A lot of times these gals look like beached whales, decades in life, beach whales with wrinkles and gray hair, but in this case, she still looked really good. That does happen. So here I asked. She answered, fixing her hair, saying yes, and she was waiting for her sister, and that it was a huge surprise to see me there. What a load of crap. No, her sister told her that you work at the same school, and she knows how much she misses you, and her life is dog shit. 3 fucking divorces. And come along, maybe you guys will have a spark. Meanwhile, her sister knew damn fucking well that you were married and had a kid. She didn't care. Our conversation was short when I just told her that When I just told her that I looked good opening my car, she stopped me and asked if it would be appropriate to have a coffee and chat a little bit. She's asking you out for coffee to catch up. God almighty. She does recall that you're the one that, yeah, she cheated on you, but you're the one that kicked her over the curb. And you're married and have a kid, but she thinks she's so amazing that you're going to screw up your marriage for her who was cheating on you. I remember this like it was yesterday. I had the car door open, one leg inside. I turned around and said, M, I am married, happily married, and I respect the wonderful woman I married just as I respected you in another life. It is not appropriate, nor does it seem healthy for me that we would do that. But I like seeing you. Hey, you didn't act like an asshole. You could have acted like an asshole. Say, bitch, I want to have a cup of coffee with you if I was dying and it was the last day on earth and you were the last woman in the world. But, I'm picturing coming out to his car, and there she is, and her pulling her crap. And he's just getting in the car, not really, doing this, not stopping to talk to her. Indifferent as all hell. He says, I swear I meant no harm, but a part of me smiled when I felt her break. Yeah, she didn't expect that. In my home, we continue to be happy, the three of us, my wife, myself, and my child. And the old house I bought and restored, happy, good luck to everyone. The end. So it was an abrupt ending. But the point of the whole thing is, guys, this guy handled himself well when he discovered that she was cheating. He didn't act like a crybaby or anything like that. And after he healed a bit, met the chick that became his wife, took his time with her, which is awesome. Now he has a happy family. I assume they're still happy. He watches my channel, so I'm sure he knows what to watch, but he's doing great. And the great satisfaction of hearing that the ex that cheated on him has a lifetime of fucking awful relationships that she clearly is one that effed up. Divorced 3 times by 40 years old. Okay, I was 40 years old. And has been pining for him and missing him. She screwed up, and this guy gets to know it. And I'm sure this dude probably went home and told his wife about the whole thing. And if Emma's not careful, your wife's going to show up at your work and beat her ass. But anyhow, good story, man. So guys, again, proving they always come back, as long as their life sucks. If she married a billionaire and was living that billionaire wife lifestyle, or married a billionaire and got divorced and got half his fortune, I don't think you're going to hear from her. But they usually aren't going to get together, millionaires or billionaires. They're going to be, just unhappy and think that you'll take them back. Doesn't work that way. So you're doing great in life, and she's not, and that's usually how these stories end up. So good job, bro. Glad you're doing well, and keep kicking ass in this world. And I think you're going to be, I can't remember if you said you have a boy or a girl, but I think if you have a boy, your son will see a very happy, loving, functional relationship with you and your wife, and you can show him what it's like to be a man and all that, and it'll be great. And if you have a daughter, your daughter will see a happy, functioning, good relationship with you and your wife, and she'll now know what to look for in men, that type of thing, and something healthy. And so I think that's awesome. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Give this guy a shout out for having a great life and handling himself well. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.